to you. And you know, I mean, in news, I've often been accused of focusing on human stories and you know, human beings as opposed to kind of geopolitical significance on things. I don't think that's something that's bad. I think
that's a compliment, right?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it is. I mean, it's
although
the kind of stuff
I did a
I'm
human
interested
interest story that you put on your ridiculous once. You put me on your ridiculous, Anderson.
No, I didn't put you on. I put it was the notion that anybody could believe that Courtney Stodden's breasts were not real because she told us several times in a YouTube video.
See how much my staff here loves this?
That her breasts were real.
Yeah.
And I never doubted her. So I put the doubters on the ridiculous.
And to be fair,
I appreciated you confirming.
Thank you.
Yes.
To be fair, she asked us to do that, but
no, I'm sure she did.
But I was interested in the two of them, the May-December thing. He's my age.
I'm obsessed with them both.
Yeah.
I mean, Doug Hutchinson, Courtney Stodden. The fact that I even know their names, that we know their names, is a sign of the decline of civilization.
The mom came with them. The mom.
Oh, really?
And she signed off on it wholeheartedly. She thought that he's a great guy. And she's like 17. For me, whatever. We'll see where it goes.
Yeah, we'll see where it goes. We'll see where that thing ends
But speaking of you dealing with human interest stories, it feels like you're putting more of yourself on TV these days. I love you and Kathy on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, Kathy, you know, working with Kathy Griffin is fun. And it's fun having my mom on the show. And although
but Kathy's dangerous, though.
She is. She's always, you never know what she's going to say.
She took her clothes off this year.
She takes her clothes off all the time. In fact, she came to my house in Long Island.
And she took her clothes off.
She went out there the night before. First of all, she was disappointed that my house wasn't like out of Downton Abbey. She expected some grand thing.
Yes.
Like, it's a small thing. There's no staff or anything. So she was very disappointed. And I was on the news that night, you know, doing the broadcast, and she was texting me naked photos of herself, like, sprawled out on my couch.
Anderson, that is called sexting. That is sexting. And Kathy Griffin sexted you.
Do you have your phone?
All I want is, do you have your phone with you?
I don't have. I deleted the pictures. But I literally was like, all I could think about was like, do I need a wet or a dry vac to clean this up? You know? What?
I'm just saying. All right, let's go on to some stories that are in the news. Enough of the fun. There's a lot. Unless you like to keep going down the Kathy Griffin path, I got some stories I can share with you. But in fact, I'm dying to be up there on the podium with you some New Year's Eve.
You should come
I've known Kathy for literally 15 years, and I would love to just to behold. Yeah. And it's not just because she's going to be there in her bathing suit or whatever she wore. Was that lingerie?
No, she stripped down to her lingerie.
Lingerie.
Yeah.
All right, so,
but I did have the naked photos were, I mean, really more than you ever wanted to see of Kathy Griffin.
You sure you don't still have them?
I may have put them in some sort of folder to be used later.
We'll talk afterwards. In fact, do you understand? You understand what you could do with that with Kathy now?
I have no idea what I could do with Kathy.
I'll tell you after the show. but
it's like a foreign land to me. That.
Okay, let's go on to news of the day. Oh my goodness. Oh, hell with the news. Let's just talk about what else you want to talk about. So,
it's just practice, right?
This is not fair. This is not fair. Don't worry.
Okay.
Speaking of pictures, the National Enquirer put what I consider to be an awful, intrusive photograph of Whitney Houston on the front page. And my reaction to this was, I don't blame the guy that took the picture. I don't like the guy that took the picture. I don't blame the National Enquirer. I blame us for consuming this crap.
Well, right. I mean, if there wasn't a market for it, this stuff, they wouldn't pay for it.
How do we adjust?
It's the same thing that would happen with Princess Diana, where people would saying, you know, it's the magazine's, the reporter's fault, and you know, I remember covering the funeral and people coming up to any reporter, not that they knew who I was or anything, but coming up and saying like, you did this to her, you know, and in fact, it's people who are buying these magazines who are constant consumers of, you know, endless rumor and innuendo about people that are at fault.
Let's not take ourselves out of that population. I mean, we're a person in the public. You know, we may have a public persona, but we have a private persona where we consume crap like this.
Yeah. No, that's true.
I watch Jersey Shore. You know,
I watch cheesy reality TV as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, I think it is. I mean, I'm sure there has been gossip as long as there have been human beings. I'm sure.
Well, that's interesting. In fact, gossip, I believe, used to be a way of transmitting cultural information. It's just we've gotten. I think my own belief is we've gotten this sort of almost human sacrificial impulse into our gossip. We elevate people and like to tear them down.
Well, there's no doubt about that. There's also a cruelty which I think exists because of the internet and the anonymity that the internet gives. So the fact that all these websites have comment sections where you don't actually put your name on, you just put your whatever your online moniker is, and then it allows people to just say all sorts of things.
Do you get horrible stuff on like Twitter? I get horrible stuff.
Oh, of course, yeah. Everybody said. But what's interesting is when you actually find these people and confront them from time to time, they completely collapse. It's really interesting. You know, they don't have the guts in real life to do this. It's only in the safety of their own little room in their pajamas.
There's that, the anonymity, but also that we can be like a cartoon character that they throw darts at.
Oh, right. It's not real. Right.
It's not real.
Right. We're not real people.
But that's part of the problem of how we consume media, I think, and that's why pictures like that end up. I'm going to bring up another story. This is here in Los Angeles. It's been a big one. A 42-year-old Spanish teacher was arrested on suspicion of having sex with 2 underage students. This is the 7th arrest of a Los Angeles teacher in just 3 weeks. Have you been up on this story?
I have been, and I mean, it obviously comes on the heels of what happened to the Miramontes school.
Then we're right there. We're looking at the teacher Burt, who's alleged to have. And my question of you is this, because this is a very Los Angeles kind of story. I mean, immigrants were involved in this, underprivileged people who were like helpless and afraid to come forward because of immigration issues. I mean, this is something that it seems unique to Los Angeles. Is teachers behaving like this unique to Los Angeles?
Not at all. I mean, we see this across the country. There was just a case, in fact, in New York. There have been several cases. I've done documentaries, spent time with pedophiles and even a female pedophile, which is very rare to actually find, and ephebophiles as well, people who are...
Well, in fact, your show today, I don't know, it was a rerun, was Inside the Mind of a Pedophile.
Right, we invited two sex offenders, and they're the most manipulative people I've ever met in general, and clearly target people who are vulnerable, kids who are vulnerable, and whether that's, you know, in a one-parent household or kids whose families are broken up, or kids on, you know, from an immigrant community who may not have access to law enforcement or fearful of going to law enforcement. Fearful.
That's the thing, is that they trust teachers in that
community. But I also
too.
think the law adjudicates women differently than it does men. I think with women, it's, well, they had a relationship.
Right.
Whereas with a guy, it's, you know, understandably, it's molestation. I think with a woman, we need to see it just the same as it is.
It has the same impact on the kids that are perpetrated against. The victims we look at differently.